For centuries, one question has lingered in the echoes of history. Did a single woman once a slave, later a queen, play a role in weakening the greatest empire of her age? Hurrem Sultan, known to the West as Roxolana, remains one of the most debated figures in Ottoman history. Some see her as a visionary political mind, a loyal partner to Sultan Suleiman the Magnificent. Others paint her as a schemer whose ambition fractured royal traditions and planted seeds that may have contributed to the empire's eventual decline. But history is never the story of just one person. It's a tapestry of decisions, beliefs, fears, rivalries, and forces far bigger than any single individual. Hurrem Sultan's rise, her influence, her enemies, and her legacy cannot be reduced to simple blame. Her story is one of an extraordinary transformation, of a woman who refused to remain in the role the world assigned to her. Hurrem's journey began far from Istanbul's majestic skyline. Born in Ruthenia in the early 1500s, she lived an ordinary village life until everything was violently torn apart. Captured in a Tatar raid, she was dragged across foreign lands, sold into slavery, and brought to the heart of the Ottoman Empire, the imperial harem of Topkapi Palace. For most women, the harem was a gilded cage they could never escape. But Hurrem was different. She possessed a bright intelligence, a sharp wit, and a personality that refused to break. She became known for her warm smile and infectious charm, earning the name Hurrem, which means the cheerful one. Sultan Suleiman, already celebrated as a powerful ruler, noticed her almost immediately. He admired her humor, her mind, and her refusal to be ordinary. Their bond grew into an astonishing love that would alter the course of Ottoman history. Suleiman wasn't the first sultan to love a concubine, but he was the first to publicly break centuries-old traditions for one. He married her, making a former slave his legal wife. This alone was enough to make her a threat in the eyes of the palace elite. Her rise wasn't just a personal transformation, it was a political event that shook the empire's foundations. For generations, Ottoman sultans followed a strict rule: one mother, one son. A concubine gave birth to one prince, then was sent away with him to govern a distant province. This prevented any single woman from concentrating too much power within the palace. Hurrem shattered this rule. She bore Suleiman multiple children and, more importantly, she remained by his side in Istanbul. This defiance of tradition made her a permanent political presence at the heart of the empire. Viziers, generals, and palace officials saw her as a new, unpredictable force. Some feared her because she had Suleiman's ear. Others feared the collapse of the old system, a system they benefited from. The greatest tension of all centered on Mahidevran Sultan, the mother of Suleiman's eldest son, Prince Mustafa. Before Hurrem's arrival, Mahidevran was the presumed future queen mother, a position of enormous influence. Her son, Mustafa, was admired by the army, adored by the public, and respected by the court. He was brave, charismatic, and considered the natural heir. But Hurrem's rise changed everything. Her own sons were now in line for the throne, and the rivalry between the two mothers became an open secret. This wasn't just petty jealousy. It was a political struggle for the future of the dynasty. Both women understood the brutal reality of Ottoman succession. Only one prince would survive to become sultan. The others would be killed to prevent civil war. For Hurrem's sons to live, Mustafa had to be removed from the equation. Court factions formed quickly. Those who favored tradition supported Mahidevran and Mustafa. Reformists and palace insiders gravitated toward Hurrem. Rumors spread, alliances were forged, and accusations grew louder. At the center of this storm stood Prince Mustafa. He wasn't just a rival to Hurrem's sons. He was beloved by the Janissary Corps, the elite infantry of the army, and seen by many as the future salvation of the empire. His very popularity became dangerous. Suleiman had grown wary of rebellion. He himself had witnessed his father fight his own brothers for the throne. In this atmosphere of fear, suspicion was deadly. Whether Hurrem directly orchestrated Mustafa's downfall or simply became a convenient scapegoat has been debated for centuries. What is known is that Suleiman became convinced his son was plotting against him, possibly manipulated by forged letters or exaggerated reports. In 1553, during a military campaign, Mustafa entered his father's tent, believing he was meeting the Sultan who loved him. Instead, he was seized and executed. The empire was rocked by grief and fury. The Janissaries nearly mutinied. The public mourned. Diplomats whispered of betrayal within the palace walls. And many blamed Hurrem without hesitation. In the eyes of the people, she became the face of the tragedy, though no historian can say for certain what role she truly played. But the consequences were undeniable. The empire lost its most promising heir. The bond between the military and the palace fractured, and Suleiman himself was left consumed by guilt and isolation. Hurrem's influence, however, did not end there. She became a political partner to Suleiman in a way no woman before heard. She advised him on internal governance, corresponded with foreign leaders, and helped shape the empire's diplomatic strategy. Her letters to European monarchs reveal a sophisticated political mind. Her charitable works transformed Istanbul. She built mosques, schools, hospitals, and shelters for the poor. These contributions strengthened the social fabric of the empire. Still, her political presence unsettled many traditionalists. The idea of a woman influencing state affairs was unimaginable to them, but Hurrem had become too powerful to ignore. Her involvement in succession politics continued to have immense consequences. After Mustafa's death, the focus shifted to Hurrem's sons, Selim and Bayezid. Their rivalry, long simmering, erupted into open conflict after Hurrem's own death in 1558. Bayezid rebelled against his brother, was defeated, and was eventually executed along with his sons. This bloodshed further damaged the empire's stability. Critics claimed Hurrem's manipulation had poisoned the dynasty. But in truth, Ottoman succession had always been violent. Brothers killing brothers was the norm, not the exception. Hurrem didn't create the system, she simply maneuvered within it to protect her own children. When Selim II finally ascended the throne, many argued that the empire was heading toward decline. Selim was more interested in pleasure than politics, earning him the nickname Selim the Drunkard. But blaming Hurrem for his character is overly simplistic. The empire had endured weak rulers before, and it would endure them again. Under Selim, the Ottomans still conquered Cyprus and maintained dominance across 3 continents. The real decline would come much later, shaped by global economic shifts, military stagnation, and the rise of Europe, not by the actions of one woman decades earlier. So why, then, is she still blamed for destroying the empire? Partly because she was a woman in power. Patriarchal societies, both Ottoman and European, were deeply uncomfortable with a woman influencing state affairs. Partly because Mustafa's tragic death required an antagonist, and Hurrem was an easy target. And partly because later historians, looking for the roots of Ottoman decline, found a convenient symbol in Hurrem with her unprecedented power and foreign origins. But the truth is far more nuanced. Empires don't fall because of one person. They fall over centuries due to economic pressures, wars, shifting trade routes, corruption, and global change. Hurrem Sultan was part of the Ottoman story, but she was not the architect of its destruction. She was a transformer, a break from tradition, a political pioneer, and a mother navigating the lethal world of royal succession. She challenged a system built to silence women. She refused to disappear. She refused to be powerless. She refused to let her children become victims of a brutal system. She left behind schools, hospitals, and mosques that served people for centuries. She proved that intelligence and strategy could elevate someone from captivity to the heights of influence. If Hurrem destroyed anything, it was not the empire, it was the boundaries placed on women. Her legacy is not ruin. It is resilience. Not destruction, but transformation. Not weakness, but power. And whether loved or hated, she remains one of the most remarkable figures in history. Thanks for watching. If you found this story as fascinating as we do, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more deep dives into history's most compelling figures.